Hey everybody, Jem Schofield here with the C47 and another episode of Gearbox. I just recorded an entire episode where I, at least in my own head, thought that I was saying profound things, important things about what is going on culturally and socially with the world right now. And realized, of course, when I walked over to the camera, that I had not, in fact, pressed record. So what I say now will obviously not be a repeat of what I just said, but I do want to talk about a couple of things. The first thing is that I do have my last production-based workshop that is not profound coming up this weekend in the DC area at Mac Business Solutions. It's the last one I'll be doing this year. It's definitely not my last workshop. And it's an HD DSLR 2.5-day workshop, and it really is a workflow, but also workshop that evolves, meaning that it does cover workflow. It sort of goes from production to post-production, but it also talks about sensor sizes, the new cameras that are coming down the line, lenses, audio, lighting, camera supports, and we cover a lot of ground in those 2.5 days. So if you are in the DC area and you're interested in getting up to speed on these little buggers, then go to the site and you can register. It's pretty full already, but there's still some spots there, and there are options where you can either bring your own computer or you can have a computer provided for you. I think we're going to get a big mix here of people using Final Cut Pro and also Premiere Pro, which should be good. We can talk about the pros and the cons, and the pros and the cons of each, and I'm excited about that. Now, the other thing that I was talking about for so long, and I'm not going to talk about it for so long right now, is that last night I had a conversation with somebody named Michael Sanders, who is a photographer, a very good photographer, and I'll send you a link to his website. And we talked a lot of shop. We talked a lot about what is coming, and also, why certain things are certain ways, having to do with decisions that are made for cameras. And a lot of this stuff is, sort of being made up in our own heads because we're not necessarily hearing everything directly from the manufacturers, but there are ideas about why decisions are being made having to do with sensor sizes and functionality and codecs and things like that in these cameras. But as we digressed into more life-based conversations, one of the things we discussed was what has happened, and this is a discussion I've had recently with Matt Porwall, who I work with a lot, what's happened socially with the way we communicate. Now, arguably, with the internet, we have a situation where we now have a potential library of information. Well, we really do have the library of information, which trumps anything that has existed ever in at least our recorded history. So we have so much information available to us. And the trick is that it's available to us. We have to be able to evaluate that information, that data, and find the answers that we're looking for. But if we want to find something out and we know how to ask for that information, or even if we don't and we try over and over again, we can usually find the data that we're looking for, which is a pretty amazing thing. But the other thing that's happened is this. Hold on. You walk onto a train, you walk onto a bus, you get on an airplane, you go into a public space. And what we see now is we see this. We see the potential for us to disseminate information and get information like no other time. But we also see socially, potentially, a breakdown in live communication. So one of the things that was really nice about my conversation with Michael last night is we were just talking. We were having real conversation about things. It wasn't in an email. It wasn't in a text. And one of my favorite things, I think culturally it's stronger in Great Britain than it is here, is the idea of going to a pub. A pub is a public house. It's a place that you go to converse. It's not a place that you go to drink and pick somebody up. That happens in bars. That happens in clubs. But pubs are places to talk about things, to discuss things. And my fear is that even though we have this amazing technology, this amazing way to disseminate information, we're losing live communication. It's one of the reasons that I love to teach so much, is that I have a real interaction with people. You know, they get to ask me questions, I ask them questions. There's a feeding off of each other, which just is, which is something that we need collaboratively. I'm not recording this, as creative people. So in a collaborative environment, creative people need to communicate. They need live communication. It's how we work together as artists. So, I don't know. What does that all mean? It just means we should be talking more. We should be communicating more, and not in a forum thread. That's fine. That's important. That's getting to information. But I know lots of people who don't like to talk on the phone. They are relying upon emails and texts as their primary form of communication. I like nothing more to have a creative conversation with somebody, to sit down and to come up with ideas that get me juiced, that get me excited about doing projects in the future. That's what I got for you today. A big flub on the word collaboration or collaborative or something like that. And then a whole bunch of other thoughts that are in here. And I'll see you guys next time on Gearbox.